Good evening, welcome to another quiet journey through time. Tonight we'll travel softly into the 18th century, a world before electricity, before alarm clocks, and long before the glow of digital screens. In this gentle story we won't rush, we'll move slowly, step by step, through an ordinary evening long ago, when candles flickered against wooden walls, when the air was filled with the faint scent of beeswax and smoke, and when people prepared for sleep in ways very different from ours today. So, settle in, let your breathing slow down, let your shoulders soften, and your thoughts drift. As the night grows quiet, we'll take a calm walk into the past to see how people rested, dreamed, and found peace beneath the 18th century moon. Imagine the evening air around the year 1750. The sun has just dipped below the horizon, and a soft blue-gray light settles over a small town or countryside home. Inside, the day's work is ending. Maybe it's a farmhouse, built of stone and timber. Or perhaps it's a modest city dwelling, with wooden floors and narrow windows. The family gathers around the hearth, the heart of the home. The fire burns low, casting gentle shadows on the walls. The sound of the outside world fades. No cars, no buzzing of streetlights, only the faint hum of insects and the distant bark of a dog. People in the 18th century lived much closer to the rhythm of the sun. When darkness came, the day truly ended. Work slowed, voices softened, and the home grew still. The main room glows with a few candles, each one precious, made from tallow or, for the wealthy, beeswax. Candles weren't cheap, so families used them sparingly. A single flame might light the entire room. Shadows stretch across the walls like sleepy spirits. Someone might be mending clothes by the firelight. A mother rocks a child. A father finishes sharpening a tool. The smell of supper still lingers, maybe bread broth or roasted roots. As the night deepens, one by one, the family begins to prepare for bed. Children yawn. A log crackles. Outside, the moon rises over fields and rooftops. There were no glowing clocks to remind them of the hour. Time was measured by instinct, by the stars, by the church bell, or by the simple feeling of tiredness. And so with quiet hands, they moved toward their beds, ready to surrender to sleep, as generations had done before. Now, let's imagine the darkness of that time, a true, deep darkness that many of us have never known. When night came in the 18th century, it was almost absolute. Only the moon, the stars, and the glow of hearts gave shape to the world. The human body responded naturally to that rhythm. As daylight faded, the brain released melatonin, a signal that it was time to rest. People grew sleepy not by the clock, but by the sky. The absence of electric light shaped every part of life. Shops closed early. Conversations quieted. Even streets and cities fell into shadow. Only the wealthiest households could afford lamps that burned whale oil or fine candles. For most, the home became a small island of light in a sea of darkness. The glow of one candle might be enough for reading a Bible passage, writing a short letter, or simply sitting quietly, letting thoughts wander. Darkness was not something to fear. It was something familiar. The stars above were bright enough to navigate by, and the soft quiet of night gave people time for reflection. Some used the hours after dusk for prayer or gentle talk. Others simply sat in stillness, listening to the crackle of the fire. It was a slow, peaceful descent into rest, a rhythm our modern world has almost forgotten. As the night deepened, candles were snuffed out, wicks pinched between fingers or covered by small metal caps. The smell of smoke drifted faintly in the air, a last sign of wakefulness before true night. And then, all at once, the world went dark. No street lamps, no screens, no faint hum of electricity. Only the whisper of wind through the window and the steady breathing of those preparing for bed. In that darkness, the stars seemed closer. The night sky, vast and silent, pressed gently against every rooftop and field. And inside, beneath layers of wool and linen, families curled into warmth, their minds drifting slowly into dreams. Let's open a wooden door and step quietly into an 18th century bedroom. The air inside is cool and smells faintly of wood, straw, and linen. It's a small room, dimly lit by a single candle resting on a metal holder. The bed dominates the space, not sleek or modern, but heavy and solid, built to last. Most beds were made from oak or pine, handcrafted and creaking softly with every movement. Some stood tall, so tall that a small stool was needed to climb in. The mattress wasn't filled with foam or springs. Instead, it was stuffed with straw, feathers, or wool. The straw-filled kind was called a palliasse, and it rustled softly when someone turned over. Wealthier families might have feather beds, fluffy, warm, and considered a great luxury. Sheets were made from linen, smooth, cool, and often hand-spun. Over them lay heavy blankets or quilts, sometimes filled with down, sometimes patched together from old fabric scraps. In winter, beds were piled high with covers to keep out the chill. Houses were cold, insulation was poor. The fire in the main room might fade by midnight, leaving bedrooms icy by dawn. To keep warm, people used bed warming pans. Metal pans filled with hot coals slid carefully between the sheets before climbing in. The smell of heated metal and faint smoke lingered in the air. It was a ritual, the quiet preparation for rest. The warming pan, the candle, the careful folding back of the quilt. Then the gentle sound of someone settling into bed, sighing as warmth began to spread beneath the blankets. Now, imagine that bedroom again. But this time, not just one person sleeps there. In many homes, especially for working families, a single bed might hold 2, 3, even 4 people. Space was precious. Children often slept together, sometimes even sharing beds with parents or siblings. Privacy, as we know it today, was rare. In inns or travelers' lodgings, it was common for strangers to share a bed, a practice known as double bedding. It might seem odd now, but at the time it was simply practical. Beds were expensive, rooms were few, and warmth was easier to keep when shared. Even among the wealthy, bedchambers were social spaces. A noblewoman might receive guests while reclining in bed, surrounded by curtains of velvet or embroidered linen. Beds had deep cultural meaning. They were places not just for sleep, but for conversation, prayer, and sometimes even business. Curtains often surrounded the bed, not only for decoration, but to trap warmth and create a small cocoon of privacy. Behind those curtains, the world softened, voices hushed, the candle dimmed, and the night deepened. As the candle flickers low, let's imagine the feel of clothing at bedtime. People didn't have lightweight pajamas or fleece blankets. Instead, they slept in simple linen nightshirts, long, loose, and comfortable. For men, it looked much like a tunic, and for women, a long shift that reached to the ankles. Nightcaps were common too, soft caps made of cotton or linen, tied under the chin. They kept warmth from escaping through the head and protected hair from smoke and soot that clung to the air. On very cold nights, people sometimes wore woolen stockings to bed or wrapped a shawl around their shoulders. Every layer mattered. The idea of a perfectly warm, climate-controlled room was centuries away. For many, climbing into bed was a slow, deliberate act, a layering of comfort against the cold. The quilt pulled up, the nightcap tied snugly, the candle blown out with a whisper. And then, only darkness and the gentle sound of breathing. Now the house is quiet, hours pass, the night deepens. But here's something many people today have forgotten. Sleep in the 18th century often came in 2 parts. This pattern was called segmented sleep, and it was completely normal. After a few hours of rest, the first sleep, people would naturally wake up, sometime around midnight. They didn't panic or toss and turn. They simply accepted it. It was a peaceful interval, a small pocket of wakefulness in the middle of the night. During that quiet hour or two, they might pray, talk softly with a partner, or tend to the fire. Some wrote in journals, others even visited neighbors in nearby cottages. A small, calm world awake under the moonlight. Then, when sleepiness returned, they would slip back into bed for the second sleep, resting until dawn. This rhythm fit perfectly with natural light cycles. Early to bed, a gentle waking in the middle of the night, and then a return to slumber before sunrise. It's a reminder of how deeply human life once followed the Earth's own tempo. Without alarm clocks, without screens, people lived within a slow, breathing rhythm, a night divided into calm, natural phases. Slowly, the first light of dawn begins to press against the window panes. Faint gray becomes pale blue, and the shapes of the room return. The world outside is hushed, damp, and calm. People of the 18th century rose not by alarm clocks, but by the gradual brightening of the sky, the crow of a rooster, or the soft sound of a church bell. Inside, the bed curtains are pulled aside. A sleepy sigh escapes, followed by the gentle rustle of linen sheets. The fire has burned low through the night, so the first task is to rekindle it, to bring warmth back into the home. Someone fetches kindling. Another pours water from a pitcher into a wash basin. There's no bathroom as we know it, just cool water and a rough towel to splash the face awake. The scent of wood smoke fills the air again, and the day begins slowly, gently. For those who worked the land, morning light meant labor. Tending animals, gathering eggs, milking cows. For city dwellers, it meant opening shutters, sweeping steps, and preparing bread or tea. There was no frantic rush, no long list of notifications waiting. The rhythm of waking was patient, as natural as the turning of the sun itself. Before we leave the night completely, let's pause to think about the dreams of that age. Dreams were taken seriously in the 18th century. Many people believed they held meaning, messages from the divine, reflections of one's soul, or even glimpses into the future. Without the noise and speed of our modern world, the mind at night was vivid and alive. People often recorded their dreams in journals, pondering them over morning bread and all. Superstitions mixed with gentle wonder. A dream of water might be seen as good fortune, a dream of fire as a warning. And yet, for many, dreams were simply a quiet theater of the imagination, a nightly story told by the sleeping self. The candlelight world made it easy to believe that the night itself was a kind of magic, a bridge between the seen and unseen. Even long ago, people worried about sleep. Some struggled to rest after long, exhausting days. Doctors and herbalists offered soothing remedies. Chamomile tea, lavender sachets, and warm milk before bed were common comforts. Some recommended rubbing the feet with oil, others suggested gentle prayers or reading from the Bible. There was also advice to the bed, by pulling back the blankets in the morning to let the straw or feathers breathe. Fresh air was seen as vital for health. Windows were opened when weather allowed, letting in the cool, clean breeze of dawn. The goal wasn't perfect sleep, but peaceful rest, a natural surrender to the rhythm of night and day. Sleep was not a luxury, but a part of life's sacred order. As the centuries passed, the way people slept changed, but the need for rest remained the same. In the 18th century, sleep was not stolen time, not a thing to be optimized or shortened. It was a simple human necessity, a soft balance between body and spirit. The long nights, the flicker of candles, the deep darkness beyond the window, all reminded people of their small but steady place in the world. Sleep was trust. It meant letting go. It meant believing that the fire would last through the night and that the dawn would always come again. Even now, as you listen, that same rhythm continues, a thread running quietly through history. The people who lived 300 years ago breathed the same night air, saw the same stars, and closed their eyes beneath the same gentle moon. So as our journey through the 18th century night comes to an end, let the images fade softly. The wooden bed, the candlelight, the whisper of linen sheets. Imagine yourself there in a quiet room warmed by the faint glow of the hearth. Outside, the wind moves slowly through the trees. The sky turns from pale blue to deep silver, and inside everything is still. Take a long, easy breath. Feel your body relax, your thoughts grow calm, your heart settle into a slower rhythm. The people of the past are resting now, and so can you. As the night grows quiet once more, let the centuries fade away. You are safe, you are warm, and it is time to sleep. Good night, and may your dreams be gentle.